Interested to know what Scorpio full moon on April 26th has in store for you? I've got all answers right here. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer. I do readings, I run an Instagram page, and I share my insights. Thank you for being here. Hit like, subscribe, check out my links in the description below. Any help you can provide will be helpful. I am going to go briefly through 12 rising signs and give you some insights on what this lunation might mean for your rising sign. So check that out. There's timestamps in the description below. And let's dive into it, right? So this lunation, it's a full moon in Scorpio. It's happening on April 26th at 11:31 p.m. Eastern. So if you are in Europe, if you aren't in the States, for you, it's going to be April 27th already. So make sure to check for the time difference. It's happening in 7 degrees Scorpio. So automatically, if you have any placements in Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, it will hit you stronger, but it is going to affect all of us, of course. Full moons are always about endings and release and climax and culmination of something. In this case, we're looking back at the new moon in Scorpio that was on November 15th. So check that out. Take a look what was happening in your life around that time. There will be a repetition, or there will be a closing of that cycle. It's a very tense full moon because there is tense aspects from Uranus and from Saturn. More on that in a second. But, you know, it's full moon is always, the sun is in Taurus. The sun is in stable, grounded, materially driven Taurus. We may have desires. We may have these pursuits that are quite tangible. And it's almost like we almost can taste them. But then we have scorpionic feelings and something that we haven't released. Maybe Scorpio holds on to emotions, right? So maybe there's past emotions. There might be connections that you're holding on to, something that isn't quite working for you anymore, and there might be some frustrations bubbling up to the surface. So why is this full moon dramatic, other than being in Scorpio? The sun is in Taurus together with Uranus, Venus, and Mercury. And all of that energy, both the Scorpio moon and the Taurus sun conjunct Uranus, squares Saturn. So they bring up the topics that are there the entire year between rebellious Uranus and grounded, older, structured, long-winded, hardworking Saturn. And a lot of our desires get blocked by Saturn this year. There's very much that energy in the air of things can no longer be the same, but you cannot move too quickly. Like, you have to work within the rules, you have to work within structure. So there's that T-square between sun, moon, Uranus with the sun, bright ideas, bright future, kind of like revolution, moving forward. On a global level, I think we are seeing all of these desires, to like change the policing and like get justice. And that could definitely come out as people rebelling or people feeling frustrated with the injustice, with the way system is. Because once again, Saturn is the government quite often. Saturn is the laws we have to work within. And we cannot abandon the laws, right? And that applies to your life as well. Like, maybe you want to quit your job, but you can't because you have little children and you're the provider, you're the caregiver. So there are a lot of tension in the air. That kind of frustration, that desire to break free gets checked and tested by Saturn. It might come out in relationships, it might come in your communications, it might come in the financial dealings where you feel blocked, you feel limited, you have to contend with all of these things. With T-squares, because we get the 3 fixed signs represented with Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, we don't have anything in Leo. And to me, T-square looks almost like a bow being pulled away. Clearly, I know a lot about shooting arrows, but it does look, like there's a triangle, and the triangle is kind of like a bow shooting in the direction of Leo. And Leo is the sign that shines. Leo is the sign that is confident, and in the most healthy manifestation, right? It kind of expresses its beautiful energy unapologetically. So the answer to some of this could be finding confidence within yourself, believing that if you put a lot of effort in, if you try really hard, you can be the most beautiful, the most shiny, the most authentic version of yourself. You just need to make sure you're being patient. And there's a lot of healing with this full moon. Expect some dramatic news, expect some surprises, expect the unexpected. Don't be surprised if there's like tensions boiling over, if people are flipping on you. Look at it as a chance to cleanse, as a chance to heal, let go. As always, with a full moon, it's good to journal, it's good to reflect on the past 6 months, connect with that November 15th, take a look back and see what do you need to transform in your life? What kind of feelings have you been holding on to that are not worth it anymore? Because it's good to have feelings, it's good to be a deep person, but some of those feelings are better kind of just being, accepting them. I think like I'm a big proponent of not rejecting any emotion, but just making sure you're not letting those feelings block your progress. It's very much about being reborn. And with Scorpio, with Uranus, with Saturn, sometimes that rebirth comes from like revolution. And first you need to struggle and you need to burn something, you need to suffer a little bit, and then something new comes out. There is one positive aspect with this lunation. It's not all dramatic. There is a trine to Mars in Cancer, and that could be helpful. Even though Mars in Cancer struggles sometimes, we still have perhaps things you are emotionally connected to with this Mars in Cancer. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your loved ones, maybe it's the joy you get from spending time with your kids. There is a possibility for like finding some kind of like emotional solution, emotional clue, or at least your action, your physicality, kind of like going for a swim, doing something active, working in the garden, those options, or like cooking with your family, doing something that's like physical with the loved ones, could prove some release or kind of bring some like, I guess, help that tension get out in a way. Okay, let's do the rising signs. Let's go through 12 rising signs really briefly. If you're interested in getting a full reading, there's a link in the description below. Follow me on Instagram. I'm happy to, help and elaborate on these things for you. So if you are an Aries rising, moon is in your 8th house with Sun and Uranus being in your 2nd house. So there's very much, like it's all about your shared money and your personal money. It's about other people's values and your own values. And it's also squaring Saturn in the 11th, and Mars can provide a helping hand from the 4th. So your finances might get affected. You may be paying off a debt. You may be taking on a loan. There might be sudden expenses coming in your life. And on a more metaphorical level, there could be a difference of opinion. There could be a difference in values. Like you believe that democracy is the only way to run the country. And then your friends, because it's 11th house, or your social network, there is someone who's disagreeing with you. And tensions might be boiling over. There might be frustrations connected to that, frustrations connected to your friends. Mars being in the 4th house means that your home and your family members most likely are on your side, and there is support coming from them. If you are a Taurus rising, this is very much about your relationships. Look back at November 15th. Look back at what was happening in your relationships around that time, because you have that opposition between house of relationships and house of self, with Saturn providing limitations in your area of career. So you may feel rebellious. Some relationships may come to an end. You may feel frustrated with the way things are. You may want to cut the ties, go off on your own, but you're limited by the duties you have to other people. Maybe this energy might come off through your partner. Maybe there's like a partner that expresses frustrations with you because you have been really exploring your individuality and going on your own and doing your own thing. And then partner, whether business or romantic, may like flip at you and tell you that this is not working out. Mars is in the third house. Trine comes from you being able this month pretty much to communicate in a very sensitive and supportive way. So it could be a good time to express your feelings and communicate through them. If you are a Gemini rising, this is very much about your work and your physical health and your mental health that might get tested by your educational commitments and your views, and there might be some conflicts at work. Maybe there are conflicts with your colleagues. Watch out for that. Conflicts surrounding your beliefs, like you have strong views, you have an idea of who you are and who you want to be, and then people in your life might disagree. This could bring a termination, kind of like an ending of a health issue. There might be a feeling of overload, like there might also be a feeling of you taking on too much on yourself, where you're like you've been running yourself too far and too much, and you may feel really frustrated, and you may like flip out at your colleagues, at your boss. There might be an ending in your work chapter, an ending in a work relationship. Mars is in the second house of money, meaning that whatever is frustrating, at least you have the resources, at least you are, maybe, your values are aligned, maybe you're secure in your beliefs. And perhaps if you are quitting a job, or if something's happening, there's some kind of like severing of ties, you have support financially. If you are a Cancer rising, Moon is in your fifth house, being opposed by the solar and Uranian energy in your 11th house, and squaring Saturn in the 8th. So this is fifth house, full moon endings. Look back at November 15th. What was happening in your life creatively? What was happening with your kids? What was happening in your romantic life? So these areas, there might be tensions there. There might be, if you're a parent, you may discover that your child is going to school somewhere, and now you need to spend money perhaps on they're going to college somewhere expensive and they didn't talk to you, and now you need to support them. This could also mean an ending of a creative project. This could mean a disconnect between your friends or your goals or your ambitions and what you actually have. Perhaps you may have to abandon a creative project or let it go for a while because it's not it's not kind of financially, maybe you don't have the resources at the moment for it. And Mars is in the first house. First house is you, kind of promising that whatever frustrations you're experiencing at the moment, you have the energy and you have the power to heal and to deal with it and to let go. Make sure you're not cutting ties dramatically. Make sure you're not just severing connections and just jumping into things without thinking them over. If you are a Leo rising, this full moon is in your fourth house, being opposed by Sun and Uranus in your area of career. And Saturn is in the seventh house of your significant relationships. So this is about home. This could signify tensions in the home affecting your professional life, affecting your career. Maybe a family member needs your support. Maybe you're fighting with a family member and that's changing, or that affects your career, your status, your reputation. There could be professional changes. Maybe you take on more responsibilities. Maybe you are being told you need to move, and that is affecting your home dynamics. Mars is in the 12th house, meaning that you may have to deal with some ideological issues. You may have to deal with things happening outside of your control. 12th house is very much being stuck at sea and being thrown around. So a lot of these energies are out of your control. And it's asking you to heal. It's asking you to release something that's no longer serving you. If you are a Virgo rising, this moon is in your third house, being opposed by Sun and Uranus in the 9th house, and Aquarius is in the 6th. So with the moon in the third house, this could bring up issues or culmination of a conflict, kind of climax, cutting ties, or the opposite of like maybe reconnecting and making up a relationship with a sibling. Maybe something in your neighborhood, in your community. It is connected to your views. It is connected to your health and your professional life, perhaps, because maybe you have been taking a class, or maybe you've been devoting yourself to something, to like a purpose, a serious goal and mission. And with the full moon in the third house, you may be reaching a certain like turning point. Like if you are starting a business and you have these new ideas of something you want to pursue, this might be the day when you have to like pivot, or maybe it's the day when you announce your website, or maybe there is some kind of change happening in the way you approach things and in your communication. You may also get kind of some kind of news from, even about travel, like this could definitely affect travel. Make sure you are like with the short trips, there could be certain disruptions there. So make sure you are checking and double checking everything. Mars is in the 11th house, bringing support of the community, perhaps, of friends, where like if there are any frustrations, you at least know that your community supports you. And this might even be like social media. So, someone from social media sends you a message saying like, we believe in what you're doing, keep fighting the fight. If you are a Libra rising, like me, then this full moon is in your second house, opposing Sun and Uranus in the 8th, and squaring Saturn in Aquarius in your 5th house. Well, this is all about money. This is all about your values. Look back at November 15th. What was happening in your values and in your finances? You may get a return on investment. You may get a financial influx. You may get an opportunity to find a new source of income, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you lose a source of income. Something is coming from your house of shared resources and collaboration. So you might be working with other people. Topics of like our things versus my things can be highlighted very strongly here, and needing to talk openly and honestly and communicate in a very intimate way might come with this. It can also, just watch out what's happening with the money. For me personally, I got a dental insurance in November, right around the time of the new moon, and I'm going to see my dentist really shortly. So, that the 15th of November could have brought a spending in your life or a new cycle of income, and now you're getting to either work with that more, or maybe you need to rearrange your finances, or you get to let that go. Mars is in the 10th house. Professional life can be a source of inspiration, a source of growth, taking care of something that you're emotionally connected to. Dealing with emotional issues in the professional context can prove helpful and fulfilling. If you are a Scorpio rising, it's significant because this is a full moon in your first house. So whatever you are releasing has to do with your identity. And the news, the Uranian insights are coming from the house of relationships. So something that is tied to your partner, something that might be connected to the family, either your family or your partner's family, might get highlighted. You are changing your appearance. Look at what was happening with your health, with your ambitions, with your goals, November 15th, because once again, this is a culmination of the cycle. You might be breaking free from something. And if relationships aren't going so well, this could be a relationship. You might be having to contend with your partner's commitments to his or her family. There might be some frustrations and some kind of something that ignites your passion coming from the house of business partnerships and partners. Mars is in the 9th house. 9th is your education, your belief systems. It's lending a helping hand to this lunation. So whatever you are dealing with, maybe your education is a source of happiness at this point. Maybe having a life outside of your relationship is a source of inspiration, is a source of contentment for you. Travel could be a great way to release some tension as well. If you are a Sagittarius rising, this moon is in your 12th house and it opposes the Sun and Uranus in your 6th house, squaring Aquarius in the 3rd. So 12th house lunation has to do with it's very much mental health related. It's connected to your way of talking to yourself, of like dealing with issues, dealing with traumas and crises, and maybe even facing like, you know, past issues, letting go of some past issues. You may be getting news coming from your work sector. You may be receiving news about your professional life. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's connected to your pets, but there is a possibility of whatever was started 6 months ago professionally or health-wise, there might be an ending there. There might be a release. It can come through as an emotional turmoil. It can come through as more, you know, like physical, just like feeling kind of low, feeling frustrated by people around you. So make sure you are allowing some alone time. Whenever you have lunations in these 12th or 6th or 8th houses, we feel lower on energy even though it's a full moon. So make sure to allow yourself some downtime and, you know, look at your intuition and your subconscious and look for answers there. Mars being in the 8th house, providing support in terms of shared resources and collaborations with others, and either financially you feel supported or emotionally you feel supported by someone in your life. If you are a Capricorn rising, this lunation is happening in your 11th house, being opposed by Sun and Uranus in your 5th house and squaring Saturn in the 2nd house of values and finances. A few things, you know, there's a positive possibility of you presenting some kind of goal, some kind of dream of yours to the world and speaking about that. Maybe you are completing a project that you worked on together with a friend. Maybe you are ending a relationship with a friend or reconnecting with a friend. Like, a lot of it has to do with your networks and connections, and there's a sense of completion there. Maybe you've joined a new group. Maybe you're feeling like you need to join a new group of friends. Look back at November 15th. Look at what was happening with your goals, with your dreams and aspirations around that time. There could be a feeling of like a desire of taking a new hobby, starting a new thing, pursuing a new dream, but you are getting tested and you're getting controlled by that Saturn in the 2nd house, meaning like, do you have enough resources? Do you have enough ability to take care and pursue things that you are trying to pursue? Mars is in the 7th house, providing a helping hand in the face of a partner, business partner, a close friend, possibly. If you're an Aquarius rising, this moon is in your 10th house. It's highlighting your sector of career, being opposed by Sun and Uranus in the 4th house and squaring Saturn and Aquarius in your 1st house. So this is affecting your professional life. There might be a sense of completion at work. There might be a sense of frustration at work. You may receive news, or it may be connected to your home life. Like, you might find out that a family member needs you, or you need to move, or you need to, you know, invest a lot of money into taking care of your home, taking care of a family member, and that affects your work dynamic. There's definitely something happening, something major is happening in your professional life. And Mars in the 6th presently is saying that whatever you have to take care of, you have the power, you have the ability, because Mars is actually rejoicing in the 6th house. It has that problem-solving capacity. So you can solve everything if you just take responsibilities and don't escape them. If you are a Pisces rising, this lunation is happening in your 9th house, being opposed by Sun and Uranus in the 3rd house, and Saturn is presently in your 12th. So this could affect education. This could mean an ending or some kind of change in your education. Maybe you're becoming a teacher. Maybe you're completing a course. There could be frustrations connected to travel. A friend of mine is a Pisces rising. She has recently discovered that just by chance, which is very much, I think, third house, that her ex-husband was going to take her daughter on a fair in a car with kids that are not vaccinated, and like kind of, you know, the ex-husband made that decision without consulting her, which created a lot of emotional turmoil and frustration because like she saw this as a teamwork, like, you know, they are a team. So there is definitely like lack of communication or sudden news that may come from the third house, local journeys, short travel, short trips, and affecting your worldviews or affecting your beliefs, affecting travel. So if you are traveling, make sure to double check everything, make sure to drive carefully, and you know, any like legal issues can come to completion, not necessarily in your favor, because like I said, there's a lot of tense energy around this lunation. And look back at November 15th, see what was happening in your life around that time. Mars is in the 5th house, promising support in the face of a creative hobby or a relationship with your child, or some kind of like sport and exercise, a passion project that actually supports you. This is all I've got. Please subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. I do readings like I mentioned. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll talk to you later. Bye guys, have a safe full moon in Scorpio.